Chapter 13. The MCC. 6 weeks later, Rajam came to Swaminathan's house to announce that he forgave him all his sins, starting with his political activities, to his new acquisition, the board high school air, by which was meant a certain slowness and stupidity engendered by mental decay.
After making his exit from Albert Mission School in that theatrical manner, on the day following the strike, Swaminathan became so consistently stubborn that a few days later his father took him to the board school and admitted him there. At first Swaminathan was rather uncertain of his happiness in the new school. But he excited the curiosity that all newcomers do, and found himself to his great satisfaction the center of attraction in 2nd C. All his new classmates, remarkably new faces, often clustered round him to see him and hear him talk.
He had not yet picked the few that he would have liked to call his chums. He still believed that his Albert Mission set was intact, though, since the reopening in June, the set was not what it had been before. Sanka disappeared, and people said that his father had been transferred. Somu was not promoted, and that meant he was automatically excluded from the group, the law being inexorable in that respect. The P was promoted, but he returned to the class exactly 3 months late, and he was quite full up with medical certificates, explanations, and exemptions.
He was a man of 100 worries now, and passed his old friends like a stranger. Only Rajam and Mani were still intact as far as Swaminathan was concerned. Mani saw him every day.
But Rajam had not spoken to him since the day when his political doings became known. And now this afternoon Swaminathan was sitting in a dark corner of the house trying to make a camera with a cardboard box and a spectacle lens. In his effort to fix the lens in the hole that was 1 round too large, he was on the point of losing his temper, when he heard a familiar voice calling him.
He ran to the door. "Hello! Hello! Rajam," he cried, "why didn't you tell me you were coming?"
"What is the thing in your hand?" Rajam asked. "Oh," Swaminathan said, blushing.
Come, let us have a look at it." "Oh, it is nothing," Swaminathan said, giving him the box. As Rajam kept gazing at the world through the hole in the cardboard box, Swaminathan said, "Akbar Ali of our class has made a marvelous camera."
"Has he? What does he do with it?" "He has taken a lot of photos with it."
"Indeed. Photos of what?" "He hasn't yet shown them to me, but they are probably photos of houses, people, and trees."
Rajam sat down on the doorstep and asked, "And who is this Akbar Ali?" "He is a nice Mohammedan, belongs to our class." "In the board high school?"
There was just a suspicion of a sneer in his tone. Swaminathan preferred to ignore this question and continued, "He has a bicycle. He is a very fine Mohammedan, calls Muhammad of Ghazni and Aurangzeb rascals."
"What makes you think that they were that? Didn't they destroy our temples and torture the Hindus? Have you forgotten the Somnathpur god?"
"We Brahmins deserve that and more," said Rajam. "In our house my father does not care for new moon days and there are no annual ceremonies for the dead." He was in a debating mood, and Swaminathan realized it and remained silent.
Rajam said, "I tell you what, it is your board high school that has given you this mentality." Swaminathan felt that the safest course would be to agree with him. "You are right in a way."
"I don't like the board high school." "Then why did you go and join it?" "I could not help it."
"You saw how beastly our headmaster was. If you had been in my place, you would have kicked him in the face." This piece of flattery did not soothe Rajam. "If I were you, I would have kept clear of all your dirty politics and strikes."
His father was a government servant, and hence his family was anti-political. Swaminathan said, "You are right. I should have remained at home on the day of the strike."
This example of absolute submissiveness touched Rajam. He said promptly that he was prepared to forgive Swaminathan his past sins and would not mind his belonging to the board school. They were to be friends as of old.
"What would you say to a cricket team?" Rajam asked. Swaminathan had not thought of cricket as something that he himself could play.
He was, of course, familiar with Hobbs, Bradman, and Duleep, and vainly tried to carry their scores in his head, as Rajam did. He filched pictures of cricket players, as Rajam did, and pasted them in an album. Though he secretly did not very much care for those pictures, there was something monotonous about them. He sometimes thought that the same picture was pasted in every page of the album.
"No, Rajam, I don't think I can play. I don't know how to play." That is what everybody thinks, said Rajam. I don't know how myself, though I collect pictures and scores.
This was very pleasing to hear. Probably Hobbs too was shy and skeptical before he took the bat and swung it. We can challenge a lot of teams, including our school 11.
They think they can't be beaten, said Swaminathan. What? The board school mugs think that.
We shall thrash them. Oh, yes. What shall we call it?
Don't you know? It is the MCC, said Rajam. That is Hobbs's team, isn't it?
They may drag us before a court if we take their name. Who says that? If we get into any trouble, I shall declare before the judge that MCC stands for Malgudi Cricket Club.
Swaminathan was a little disappointed. Though as MCC it sounded imposing, the name was really a bit tame. I think we had better try some other name, Rajam.
What would you suggest? Well, I am for Friends 11. Friends 11?
Or say, Jumping Stars, said Swaminathan. Oh, that is not bad, you know. I do think it would be glorious to call ourselves Jumping Stars.
Rajam instantly had a vision of a newspaper report. The Jumping Stars soundly thrashed the board high school 11. It is a beauty, I think, he cried, moved by the vision. He pulled out a piece of paper and a pencil, and said, Come on, Swami, repeat the names that come to your head.
It would be better to have a long list to select from. We shall underline Jumping Stars and MCC and give them special consideration. Come on.
Swaminathan remained thoughtful and started, Friends 11. Jumping Stars. Friends Union. I have Friends Union already here, Rajam said, pointing to the list.
Swaminathan went on, Excelsiors. I have got it. Excelsior Union.
Champion 11. A long pause. Are you dried up?
Rajam asked. No, if money were here, he would have suggested a few more names. Champion 11. You have just said it.
Victory Union 11. That is very good. I think it is very, very good.
People would be afraid of us. He held the list before him and read the names with great satisfaction. He had struggled hard on the previous night to get a few names.
But only Friends Union and Excelsiors kept coming till he felt fatigued. But what a lot of names Swaminathan was able to reel off. Single quote.
Can you meet me tomorrow evening, Swami? I shall get money down. Let us select a name.
After a while Swaminathan asked, Look here, do you think we shall have to pay tax or something to the government when we start the team? The government seems to tax everything in this world. My father's pay is about 500.
But nearly 200 and over is demanded by the government. Anyway, what makes you think that we shall have to pay tax? I mean, if we don't pay tax, the government may not recognize our team or its name and 100 other teams may take the same name.
It might lead to all sorts of complications. Suppose we have two names, asked Rajam. It is not done.
I know a lot of teams that have two names. When I was in Bishop Waller's, we had a cricket team that we called, I don't remember the name now. I think we called it Cricket 11 and Waller's Cricket 11.
You see, one name is for ordinary use and the other is for matches. It is all very well for a rich team like your Waller's. But suppose the government demands two taxes from us?
Rajam realized at this point that the starting of a cricket team was the most complicated problem on earth. He had simply expected to gather a dozen fellows on the Maidan next to his compound and play, and challenge the world. But here were endless troubles, starting with the name that must be unique.
Government taxes, and so on. The government did not seem to know where it ought to interfere and where not. He had a momentary sympathy for Gandhi. No wonder he was dead against the government.
Swaminathan seemed to be an expert in thinking out difficulties. He said, even if we want to pay, whom are we to pay the taxes to? Certainly not to His Majesty or the Viceroy.
Who was the government? What if somebody should take the money and defraud them, somebody pretending to be the government? Probably they would have to send the taxes by money order to the governor.
Well, that might be treason. And then what was the amount to be paid? They sat round Rajam's table in his room.
Money held before him a catalogue of Messrs. Binns, the shop for sports goods. He read, Junior Willard bats, 7/8, made of finest seasoned wood, used by Cambridge Junior boys, 11. Let me have a look at it, said Rajam.
He bent over the table and said, seems to be a fine bat. Have a look at it, Swami. Swaminathan craned his neck and agreed that it was a fine bat, but he was indiscreet enough to say, it looks like any other bat in the catalogue.
Mani's left hand shot out and held his neck and pressed his face close to the picture of the bat. Why do you pretend to be a cricket player if you cannot see the difference between Junior Villard and other bats? You are not fit to be even a sweeper in our team. After this admonition, the hold was relaxed.
Rajam asked, Swami, do you know what the catalogue man calls the Junior Villard? It seems it is the Rolls-Royce among the junior bats. Don't you know the difference between the Rolls-Royce and other cars?
Swaminathan replied haughtily, I never said I saw no difference between the Rolls-Royce and other cars. What is the difference? Urged Rajam. Mani laughed and teased, come on.
If you really know the difference, why don't you say it? Swaminathan said, the Rolls cost ₹1,00,000, while other cars cost about 10,000. A Rolls has engines made of silver, while other cars have iron engines. Oh, peered Rajam.
A Rolls never gives trouble, while other cars always give trouble. A Rolls engine never stops. A Rolls-Royce never makes a noise, while other cars always make a noise. Why not deliver a lecture on the Rolls-Royce? Asked Mani. Swami, I am glad you know so much about the Rolls-Royce.
I am at the same time ashamed to find you knowing so little about Villard Jr. We had about a dozen Villard Juniors when I was in Bishop Waller's. Oh!
What bats? There are actual springs inside the bat, so that when you touch the ball it flies. There is fine silk cord wound round the handle.
You don't know anything, and yet you talk. Show me another bat which has silk cord and springs like the Villard. There was a pause, and after that Rajam said, note it down, Swami.
Swaminathan noted down on a paper, Villard Junior bat. And looking up asked, how many? Say 3.
Will that do, Mani? Why waste money on 3 bats? 2 will do.
But suppose one breaks in the middle of a match? Rajam asked. Do you suppose we are going to supply bats to our opponents?
They will have to come provided with bats. We must make it clear. Even then, if our bat breaks, we may have to stop playing.
2 will do, Rajam, unless you want to waste money. Rajam's enthusiasm was great. He left his chair and sat on the arm of Mani's chair, gloating over the pictures of cricket goods in the catalogue.
Swaminathan, though he was considered to be a bit of a heretic, caught the enthusiasm and perched on the other arm of the chair. All the 3 devoured with their eyes the glossy pictures of cricket balls, bats, and nets. In about an hour they selected from the catalogue their team's requirements.
And then came the most difficult part of the whole affair, a letter to Messrs. Binns, ordering goods. Bare courtesy made Rajam offer the authorship of the letter to Mani, who declined it. Swaminathan was forced to accept it in spite of his protests, and he sat for a long time chewing his pencil without producing a word. He had infinite trouble with spelling, and the more he tried to be correct, the more muddled he was becoming. In the end, he sat so long thinking of spelling that even such words as the, and became doubtful.
Rajam took up the task himself. Half an hour later he placed on the table a letter, from MCC, and Victory Union 11, Malgudi. 2.
Messrs. Binns. Sportsman. Mount Road.
Madras. Dear Sir, please send to our team 2 junior Villard bats, 6 balls, wickets and other things quick. It is very urgent.
We shall send you money afterwards. Don't fear. Please be urgent.
Yours obediently, Captain Rajam, Captain. This letter received Swaminathan's benedictions. But Mani expressed certain doubts.
He wanted to know whether dear could stand at the beginning of a letter to a perfect stranger. How can you call Binns, dear sir? You must say, sir.
Rajam's explanation was, I won't say, sir. It is said only by clerks. I am not Binns's clerk.
I don't care to address him as, sir. So this letter went as it was. After this exacting work they were resting, with a feeling of relief, when the postman came in with a card for Rajam.
Rajam read it and cried, guess who has written this? Binns. Silly.
It must be our headmaster. Somebody. J.P. Hobbs.
It is from Sanka, Rajam announced joyfully. Sanka. We had almost forgotten that old thief.
Swaminathan and Mani tore the card from Rajam's hand and read, "My dear friend, I am studying here because my father came here. My mother is also here. All of us are here.
And we will be only here. I am doing well. I hope you are doing well.
It is very hot here. I had fever for 3 days and drank medicine. I hope I will read well and pass the examination."
Is Swami and Mani doing well? It is very hot here. I am playing cricket now.
I can't write more. With regards, your dearest friend, Sanka. P.S. Don't forget me.
S. They were profoundly moved by this letter and decided to reply at once. 3 letters were ready in an hour.
Mani copied Sanka's letter verbatim. Swaminathan and Rajam wrote nearly similar letters. They said they were doing well by the grace of God. They hoped that Sanka would pass and also that he was doing well. Then they said a lot about their cricket team and hoped that Sanka would become a member. They also said that Sanka's team might challenge them to a match. The letters were put into a stamped envelope, and the flap was pasted.
It was only then that they felt the need of knowing Sanka's address. They searched all parts of Sanka's card. Not a word anywhere, not even the name of the town he was writing from.
They tried to get this out of the postmark. But a dark curved smudge on the stamp cannot be very illuminating. The MCC and its organizers had solid proof that they were persons of count when a letter from Binns came addressed to the captain, MCC, Malgudi.
It was a joy, touching that beautiful envelope and turning it over in the hand. Binns were the first to recognize the MCC, and Rajam took a vow that he would buy every bit that his team needed from that great firm. There were 3 implications in this letter that filled Rajam and his friends with rapture. 1. That His Majesty's Post Office recognized their team was proved by the fact that the letter addressed to the captain was promptly delivered to him. 2. That they were really recognized by such a magnificent firm as Binns of Madras was proved by the fact that Binns cared to reply in a full letter and not on a card, and actually typed the letter.
3. Binns sent under another cover carrying 4 annas postage a huge catalogue. What a tribute! The letter informed the captain that Messrs. Binns thanked him for his letter and would be much obliged to him if he would kindly remit 25% with the order and the balance could be paid against the VPP of the railway receipt.
3 heads buzzed over the meaning of this letter. The trouble was that they could not understand whether Binns were going to send the goods or not. Mani promised to unravel the letter if somebody would tell him what "obliged" meant.
When they turned the pages of a dictionary and offered him the meaning, he was none the wiser. He felt that it was a meaningless word in that place. "One thing is clear," said Rajam, "Binns thanks us for our letter.
So I don't think this letter could mean a refusal to supply us goods." Swaminathan agreed with him, "That is right. If he did not wish to supply you with things, would he thank you?"
"He would have abused you." He scrutinized the letter again to make sure that there was no mistake about the thanks. "Why has the fool used this word?"
Mani asked, referring to "obliged," which he could not pronounce. "It has no meaning. Is he trying to make fun of us?"
"He says something about 25%. I wish I knew what it was," said Rajam. Swaminathan could hardly contain himself. "I say, Rajam, I am surprised that you cannot understand this letter. You got 60% in the last examination.
Have you any sense in you? What has that to do with this? Even a BA cannot understand this letter."
In the end, they came to the conclusion that the letter was sent to them by mistake. As far as they could see, the MCC had written nothing in their previous letter to warrant such expressions as "obliged," "remit," and 25%. It could not be that the great firm of Binns were trying to make fun of them.
Swaminathan pointed out, to the captain, MCC, at the beginning of the letter. But he was told that it was also a part of the mistake. This letter was put in a cover with a covering letter and dispatched.
The covering letter said, "We are very sorry that you sent me somebody's letter. We are returning this somebody's letter. Please send our things immediately."
The MCC were an optimistic lot. Though they were still unhonored with a reply to their second letter, they expected their goods to arrive with every post. After 10 days they thought they would start playing with whatever was available till they got the real bats, etc.
The bottom of a dealwood case provided them with 3 good bats, and Rajam managed to get 3 used tennis balls from his father's club. The P was there, offering 4 real stumps that he believed he had somewhere in his house. A neat slip of ground adjoining Rajam's bungalow was to be the pitch.
Everything was ready. Even if bins took a month more to manufacture the goods specially for the MCC, as they faintly thought probable, there need be no delay in starting practice. By the time the real bats and the balls arrived, they would be informed to play matches.
Rajam had chosen from his class a few who, he thought, deserved to become members of the MCC at 5 o'clock on the opening day. The MCC had assembled, all except the P, for whom Rajam was waiting anxiously. He had promised to bring the real stumps. It was half an hour past time, and yet he was not to be seen anywhere.
At last his puny figure was discovered in the distance. There was a catch in Rajam's heart when he saw him. He strained his eyes to find out if the P had the things about him.
But since the latter was coming from the west, he was seen in the blaze of the evening sun. All the 12 assembled in the field shaded their eyes and looked. Some said that he was carrying a bundle, while some thought that he was swinging his hands freely.
When he arrived, Rajam asked, "Why didn't you tell us that you hadn't the stumps?" "I have still got them," protested the P. "I shall bring them tomorrow. I am sure my father knows where they are kept."
You kept us waiting till now. Why did you not come earlier and tell us that you could not find them? I tell you, I have been spending hours looking for them everywhere.
How could I come here and tell you and at the same time search? A cloud descended upon the gathering. For over 20 hours everyone among them had been dreaming of swinging a bat and throwing a ball.
And they could have realized the dream but for the P's wickedness. Everybody looked at him sourly. He was isolated.
Rajam felt like crying when he saw the dealwood planks and the tennis balls lying useless on the ground. What a glorious evening they could have had if only the stumps had been brought. Amidst all this gloom, somebody cast a ray of light by suggesting that they might use the compound wall of Rajam's bungalow as a temporary wicket.
A portion of the wall was marked off with a piece of charcoal, and the captain arranged the field and opened the batting himself. Swaminathan took up the bowling. He held a tennis ball in his hand, took a few paces, and threw it over.
Rajam swung the bat but missed it. The ball hit the wall right under the charcoal mark. Rajam was bowled out with the very first ball.
There was a great shout of joy. The players pressed round Swaminathan to shake him and pat him on the back. He was given on the very spot the tied, Tate.